4 armed terrorists in Indian Army uniforms stop a taxi and get on.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम उस्ताद जी, ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਮੰਜ਼ਿਲ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਗਏ ਹਾਂ। ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਰਹਿਮਤ ਤੇ ਬਰਕਤ।
The terrorists call their handlers in Pakistan.
ओए आगे देख।
जी हाथ कामयाब हो, ਉਹਦੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਜन्नत ही जन्नत ਆ। अल्लाह हाफिज।
It is believed that the taxi driver, Ekagar Singh, crashed the car to foil their plan. He pays with his life. A short distance away, the terrorists take a local superintendent of police and 2 passengers hostage. Their phones are taken away and more calls made to Pakistan. The policeman and another passenger are tied up and thrown out. The terrorists abandoned the car and slit the throat of the 3rd passenger. Luckily, he survives. 2 kilometers away, the peace at Pathankot Air Base is going to be shattered on New Year's Day.
Dominus presents Special Operations India Pathankot, co-powered by Chandigarh University.
Four terrorists sneak into Pathankot Air Base. They hide in a dry storm drain along the western perimeter wall. Security has been breached. Meanwhile, the abducted police officer reports the incident. India's intelligence agencies are alerted and intercept calls by the terrorists to Pakistan.
So the first one was to the handlers from these terrorists who were already inside India. And second one was why one of the terrorists to his mother, saying, मैं शहादत देने जा रहा हूँ, अल्लाह को मिलने जा रहा हूँ.
There is an imminent danger to national security. Home to some of India's most vital military bases, Pathankot lies 30 kilometers from the international border with Pakistan.
Intelligence was processed, an assessment was made, a plan of action was made, probably within about 45 minutes. And the execution started within the next 15 minutes.
Pathankot Air Base is on red alert. The alarm is sounded. The safety drills begin.
Then I'll immediately call up the base. I'll tell them to adopt all precautionary measures. Imagine the terrorists already inside the camp and they're hiding somewhere. Start sanitization.
The airmen are ordered to secure the base.
The station was fully geared up. Each and every person was on duty.
Patrols are sent out. Aerial surveillance begins. The 2,000-acre Pathankot Air Base is one of the largest and most strategically vital air bases in the country. The Western Air Commander makes the call. The situation needs a specialized unit. The Garud Commando Force. Counter-terror operatives. The Indian Air Force's first line of defense. This elite unit is trained in critical airbase security. They secure India's vital Air Force assets. In the meanwhile, the suicide attackers are on the move. They hide in a dump yard. As the terrorists lie in wait, the Western Air Commander, along with Garud commandos, lands at Pathankot Air Force Station.
The first thing that I did after landing was I took a stock of the technical area.
Vital defense assets are housed in the technical area of the frontline Pathankot Air Base. Fighter jets, attack helicopters, radars and missile systems.
They're the most important thing for a soldier. It's your weapons. Nobody should be able to touch them and harm them.
These defense assets are prize targets for any terrorist to gain instant international attention.
Whenever the world over air bases are attacked, like in Pakistan or Afghanistan, in Sri Lanka, it makes big headlines the world over.
But it is not just the strategic assets that need to be secured. The Pathankot Air Base is also home to thousands of families whose lives are in danger. They could be taken hostage.
We have about a population of 10,000 on the base. There are women, children, and there were foreign students who were undergoing a course there.
With civilian lives at stake, the National Security Guard, or NSG, is called in.
So this force is the only federal force available to Union of India when the chips are down.
These are men from the 51 Special Action Group of the NSG, better known as Black Cat Commandos. They are India's federal contingency force. The NSG is trained in special weapons and tactics to stop terror attacks and save innocent lives. Only the very best from all security forces in the country are inducted into this special force. These men have been at the heart of deadly counter-terror operations on Indian soil. Their identities are hidden. Their modus operandi, secret. They are the ghost guardians who serve to protect anywhere, anytime.
At about 5:30 in the evening, I got a call from my IG operations. That man is Tufan.
Tufan, the NSG code word for a live situation. The NSG is always ready to move at a moment's notice. Speed is the key to saving lives. The force commander gives the order. The mission is a go. The NSG task forces and the Garud commandos joined forces with the Pathankot airbase security personnel.
Till then, nobody knew where the terrorists were actually hiding.
The 2,000-acre airbase is locked down. The terrorists could be anywhere in the city of Pathankot. The hunt is on. The terrorists have to be found before they strike. There are boots on the ground and eyes in the air, but the terrorists are on a suicide mission. They aim to move towards the strategic assets. But they run out of luck. An Air Force surveillance drone picks up heat signatures. The Garud commandos move in.
I immediately rushed to the site along with my team.
The terrorists spot the approaching Garud commandos and take position. Terrorists open fire.
I saw on my right, Gurseva collapsed there. And the moment he was collapsing, at that point of time also, he was shooting in the direction of the terrorist.
Corporal Gursevik Singh is fatally wounded. The Garud squadron leader is also hit.
After around 5 to 7 minutes of firing, those terrorists burned a vehicle and ran towards the DSC area.
The terrorists used the smoke screen to escape. The attackers then split up, running through evacuated buildings, firing indiscriminately. They also use an incendiary chemical that burns on impact. The terrorists reach the living quarters of the Defense Security Corps, or DSC. Unleashing death and destruction on the run. Next on their rampage lies the DSC cookhouse. The hail of bullets claims more lives. One man fights back. Subedar Jagdish Chand, a former national-level wrestler, then does the unthinkable. He takes on a fully armed terrorist with his bare hands. He overpowers the attacker and shoots him dead. Subedar Jagdish Chand makes the ultimate sacrifice. With one man down, the remaining terrorists run for cover. The NSG are hot on their trail. The terrorists retreat into a dense thicket on the west of the airbase. The NSG establish multiple cordons around the area. The commandos in the inner cordon encircle the dense vegetation. And the outer cordon, NSG commandos, take positions on the surrounding buildings.
At a sub-tactical level, we had placed our snipers, our heavy weapons, and we were trying to search them.
The terrorists have no way to escape, but they are heavily armed and remain well hidden. The NSG has a simple strategy: confine the terrorists to this area while securing the rest of the airbase and vital air assets.
It was very important that time to keep that cordon very tight, try and probe, make him commit, and then finish the operation.
All escape routes are sealed. It's now a matter of who blinks first. Time ticks away. 4 hours later, it's still status quo. There has been no movement.
The morning of 2nd January 2016, our whole world was compressed into 400 by 400.
Daylight makes the terrorists more vulnerable.
They were aware that during the daytime, if they fire, their positions will be given out and they'll be killed. And their aim was to prolong that operation till the night so that they can sneak out and do their tasks.
The terrorists would have to wait for the cover of darkness to escape the cordon, to accomplish their suicide mission to blow up Indian air assets. But the NSG has other plans for them.
So we started squeezing the nose around the terrorists.
The NSG's inner cordon close in. The terrorists panic.
The first contact point was established.
All hell breaks loose. The terrorists fire mortar rounds, assault rifles, and lob grenades.
The fire came from an area of 100 by 150 meters.
But the terrorists keep changing firing positions. The vegetation is so thick that it is impossible to get visual on the terrorists. Any attempt to move in closer would mean Indian casualties. But the NSG cannot let the situation drag into the night. The terrorists must be neutralized before dark.
The decision was difficult.
They had only one option: get as close to the terrorists as possible and neutralize them. A team of 6 elite NSG commandos, known as a HIT, move in to finish off the job. They load into a bulletproof vehicle.
My boys, they got down and they started searching.
The NSG hit sustained shrapnel injuries from the grenade blasts. The situation would need a different game plan.
During this time, I was called by Air Marshal Deo, and he told me, "You hold on for some time, let me finish this operation in an Air Force way." The Mi-35 attack helicopter.
The Indian Air Force's bladed beast that rains hellfire from the sky. Taming this bird of prey needs nerves of steel. It's a two-man job. A specialist pilot can maneuver this attack helicopter just 40 feet above the ground. The gunner can hit targets at high speed, unleashing 3,600 rounds of cannon fire every minute. Group Captain Badoni and his gunner get airborne. The NSG commanders on the ground are asked to fall back. They refuse.
I told the commanding officer, boy, the attack hepters will be firing. We have to leave post, go back. He said, we may go under cover, let the attack hepters fire.
There is no way the NSG will let the terrorists escape. The NSG cordon stays in place. Group Captain Badoni has visual on the target area. With NSG holding their ground, he will have to attack with caution.
I had to assess the fall of my weapon. The patch was shorter, it was about 10 meters by 4 meters. And I asked for permission to engage.
Taking a chance that day, I gave a go-ahead to the Indian Air Force. I still remember passing the message to the pilot and the gunner of that attack hepter that wherever you are firing, remember my boys are there.
So he puts his aircraft in a dive to show his intentions to the ground forces.
We wanted to hit them with the maximum firepower. At the same time, we wanted to be safe.
In this air attack, there is no margin for error. The cannon fire from the attack helicopter forces the terrorists to give away their position.
The terrorist morale was hit. They were cordoned off from every place.
With escape impossible, the terrorists fire with all they've got. The NSG moves in for the kill.
We never wanted to take this operation to the night. Hence, it was 3 hits, led by the commanding officer.
It's time for the final assault. The enemies of India don't stand a chance against the guardians of India's security.
By 4 o'clock, we finished 3 dreaded terrorists of Jaish-e-Mohammed.
The dust settles on Pathankot Air Base. The suicide attackers have been neutralized. bodies of the terrorists have to be recovered, but they may be booby-trapped, rigged to explode to cause maximum damage, even in death. The force commander decides to wait for daylight. The NSG begins to sanitize the area. The remotely operated vehicle, or ROV, is deployed. This machine is designed to scan, locate, and safely destroy bombs. But the ROV hits a roadblock. It gets bogged down in the loose sand. The machine fails. The men must finish the job themselves. The NSG's Bomb Disposal Squad is a super specialized unit. These are no ordinary men. They defuse explosive devices, flirting with death in every mission. An armored vehicle is used to winch the first body out. The squad takes cover. Even the slightest bump could trigger an explosion. The first body is isolated. It could be a ticking bomb. The leader of the bomb disposal squad, Lieutenant Colonel Niranjan, and his second-in-command, Major Tyagi, are not willing to risk the lives of their men. They take matters into their own hands. The search needs steady hands and nerves of steel.
It's like a viper. You have to be faster than that viper. You have to be more knowledgeable than that bomb maker.
But sometimes luck runs out. Skill and training bow down to destiny. Tragedy strikes. An unexploded grenade detonates. Lieutenant Colonel Niranjan is martyred. Major Tyagi is grievously injured.
Niranjan laid down his life in the highest traditions of Indian Army and National Security Council. We had a setback, but the operation did not stop.
The 2,000-acre airbase must be sanitized. NSG commandos need to make sure no more terrorists or explosive devices remain. The search is on. The NSG finds a dormitory locked from inside.
I'd send my another squadron commander with his hit to see what is there.
A through-wall radar is used to assess the situation inside the room. Heat signatures are picked up. There are at least 2 people inside. As they check the building, a grenade is thrown from inside.
My squadron commander got hurt. 3-4 boys got hurt. I told my CO, okay, let's smoke them out. And we threw 1 Molotov cocktail inside. Within 25 minutes, that whole building was burning. And huge blasts started coming from inside. These terrorists were carrying those incendiaries and the IDs which were meant to blast our strategic assets.
The fire rages through the night. The NSG will have to wait for the flames to die out before they can enter. It's now safe to enter the building. They're good to go. The NSG K9 unit's best man, Rocket. The Hound is sent in to sniff out danger and retrieve evidence.
Everything was in a melted state.
All evidence is handed over to the National Investigation Agency, or the NIA. The investigation reveals that the terrorists were carrying an explosive gel to destroy Indian Air Force assets. They were armed with mortar rounds, grenades, and AK-47 rifles. The attackers were also carrying opium to keep them going, as well as medicines and packaged food made in Pakistan. Over the next 48 hours, Pathankot Air Base is rendered safe. The counter-terror operation is finally over. The Fidayeen attack appeared to have been planned over months, but the terrorists had failed in their mission. Indian security forces had prevailed.
There was no damage to our assets. Our aircraft were safe, our missiles were safe, our radars were safe, and our families were safe.
The success part is that we didn't allow them to succeed in their idea of damaging the base, and neither they could create any hostage situation.
They failed because of the bravery of Indian Air Force, Garuds, Indian Army, Punjab Police, National Security Guard, and last but not the least, our veterans in DSC.
India's strategic air assets had been protected, but at a cost. 7 Indian soldiers sacrificed their lives in the line of duty.
Ultimately, the proof of the pudding is in how successful you are in preventing the terrorists from achieving what they set out to do.
Well, I feel very happy about it. It was a very, very successful operation. The country has got the will, country has got the ability, country has got the political leadership which is capable of allowing it to do what it should do to serve the national security interests.
As terrorism threatens the nation, India's soldiers stand strong to defend the motherland and her people.